Yo, 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 we got a brand new hockey happy hour coming at you. We got special guests underneath us here tonight. We're also going to do a lot of playoff live reactions. We're going to do some discussions on what happened last night in the NHL playoffs. And we got some Flyers updates for you guys. Time to hit that like, time to hit that subscribe, hit that share, let your friends know. It's time to go live and talk some puck.
Let's go! This ain't the puck night. Oh, this game he stink.
Oh shit!
He's gone.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a brand new edition of the Hockey Happy Hour, only on A2D Radio and powered by Manscaped. The start of spring also marks the start of Testicular Cancer Awareness Month. Manscaped is partnered with the Testicular Cancer Society to bring awareness to testicular cancer, men's health, and early cancer detection. Manscaped is committed to raising awareness for the most common form of cancer in men aged 15 to 35 and giving support for fighters, survivors, and families impacted by testicular cancer as a part of their We Save Balls initiative. Get 20% off plus free shipping with the code A2D at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with the code A2D at manscaped.com. It's time to throw out your old hygiene habits and upgrade your life. He's Brian Daly. You can find him at BryGuy_85 on Twitter. I'm at Rob_Povia, tagging in for the uber sick Matt Sudi. And joining us tonight is Sam Weismer, writer, photographer of Flyers Nitty Gritty, and co-host of Pucking Flyers podcast and Superstorm. You can find her on Twitter at Samantha Weismer. Welcome to the Happy Hour, Sam. How are you this evening?
Thanks for having me. I'm good. Happy to join you guys.
Absolutely. We've had lots of good Flyers talk, lots of good Phantoms talk on Twitter. Glad to have you on the show. Speaking of which, we're jam-packed tonight. With Sam's help, we're going to wrap up a god-awful Flyer season as we take a look into the future now that Mike Yao has been let go. We'll also dive into our impressions from opening night for the Stanley Cup Playoffs and give live look-ins for tonight's action. But first, we want to know the Eastern Conference is the better side of the Stanley Cup Playoffs bracket. Agree or disagree? Brian, I'm going to start off with you, man. What's your take on this? Eastern Conference, are they better than the West?
Well, I tell you what, it's definitely going to be the tougher conference. I'll tell you that. All 8 teams with 100 points entering the playoffs. It's going to be the most unpredictable Eastern Conference I think we've had in a long time. Do I think they're the best? That's yet to be determined. I think there's so much talent on this side. So much unpredictability. I think we've seen a little bit of that early on here in Game 1 yesterday with some of these teams. We'll see, because the West still has the Flames. West still has the Avalanche. So there's still a couple of really tough teams, and I'll agree. I'll agree. I think the Cup definitely stays in the East.
Fair enough. Sam, what's your take on this? You think the East is the more dominant in this year's playoff bracket?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I mean, like he said, there, you have the Avs, you have Calgary out there, but it's not as strong. The Eastern Conference definitely, you had sleeper teams this year. So you had sleeper teams, like nobody expected Carolina to be this good. Nobody expected the Bruins to be this good. It just yeah. And the games last night, they were all on fire, and nobody out of nowhere, the Rangers just came out of nowhere and was just like, okay.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, talk about a team that went a full rebuild and turned it around in pretty quick succession, and it was a hot night, and we're going to get into reviewing that. In terms of this poll, I'm going to agree as well. And I'm going to agree as well for one reason and one reason only. And That's because the first time in the NHL something went down this year, boys and girls. All 8 teams in the Eastern Conference playoffs cracked 100 points in the standings. And there was a 16-point gap between the final wildcard team, the Washington Capitals, and the highest placing non-playoff team, New York Islanders. I mean, you look at the West, yes, you're out. You guys are absolutely right. Avalanche are a juggernaut. St. Louis Blues, who had a great dominant performance on the road against a Minnesota Wild team who's also considered a favorite on that side, and the Calgary Flames, that they've been, very consistent hockey all year long. But I mean, to me, I don't think it measures up to all the beasts in the East. I think I absolutely agree with the poll. What's going on, Dylan? He's saying, what's going on, peeps? It's game night, baby. Go Flames, go. Yep. They will be going 10 o'clock, right, Dylan? I believe.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so Calgary's going to have something to say about this poll, but in my opinion, I agree. We want to hear what you have to say, fam. Obviously, Dylan chiming in. Our first or one of our first commenters, I saw another 2 pop in, but that's going to give me a time to let you boys and girls know about Gleason's Bar. It's located at 6700 Mill Creek Avenue in Levittown, PA. If you use the code A2D for 10% off your order whenever you dine in, take out, or go online, Gleason's Bar and Steaks.com. And bringing our poll tonight is BetUSA. It's one of the leading online sports books who has been in the market for over 25 years. You can bet anywhere in the U.S. on everything. Use the link in the description down below for a 125% sign-up bonus. How does Maddie do this every week? I feel so shameless.
How do you think I feel? I'm producing for the first time in like 4.5 years. Sort
Welcome.
of. Frank's still floating around here somewhere.
Yeah, no, certainly. I mean, so Brian, you're saying that the champion comes out of the East, right? Are you saying the same thing, Sam?
Yeah, I am. I think, Florida has a solid chance, and I'm not just saying that because of G, but Florida has a solid chance. Again, Carolina, could surprise us. I know that they have a tough time getting past, but they've done it before, so.
I mean, I've been big on Carolina all season long after seeing their offseason moves, getting Freddie Anderson, you bring in Antti Ranta, you get Tony DeAngelo, who was a huge question mark, but has really played a really solid season and getting back to his form this year. They did a really good job building up that defense. I mean, they don't have a superstar, which I think is really what they're going to need to get to actually raise the cup. But, I mean, I think they have a good chance of getting to the Eastern Conference Finals. They could rep the East. If they can get hot enough and they can get Freddie back and get him rolling again. But, I mean, I don't think Antti Ranta is a bad option to have in net. I mean, Flyers got to the Stanley Cup with Michael Leighton. And Antti Ranta is 20 times better than Michael Leighton ever was. So
Anderson is due to come back soon. I know that Antti Ranta is obviously going to be your starter, but they also have their AHL goalie, Pyotr. I think that is Pyotr Kochetev. It's Russian. I can't pronounce it. But the kid is solid in that he had 13 starts in the AHL and he won 12. And he's won 3 of 4 games in Carolina. Like, I think they'll be fine.
Oh, I think so too. Like I said, this is probably the most unpredictable Eastern Conference setup that I've seen for any of these matchups. Any of these matchups could go any way. I mean, currently watching Florida, Washington right now. Washington's up 1-0. About 5.5-ish minutes left in the first. Washington's all over Florida right now. Granted, like I said, it's only game 1, but this just goes to show the unpredictability and why the NHL playoffs continue to be the GOAT of all the playoff tournaments.
Right.
I can see the comments too. I like the one that's underneath Dylan. That's actually that could happen.
But this one from Old City Sports?
Yeah. I mean, it could happen.
It could happen.
I mean,
I would not be surprised with the goal scoring on the Wild. They didn't show up in game 1, but it's there.
I would be surprised if Tampa Bay wins a three-peat. Plus, they don't really need another cup. They dented the last one.
That's right.
I heard
They
that.
didn't take care of that. They didn't take care of that. Well, Toronto took care of them last night. 5-0. Just awesome Matthews flexing his muscle. And I hate to be right, but Brian, you heard me say it on the show, man. They played a lot of hockey over the past 3 seasons. And even if physically they're okay and they're checking out, it's the mental game. And we saw Vasilevsky make an uncharacteristic error behind the net, giving a cheapy goal to Austin Matthews to really seal the deal there. I agree with you, Sam. I think Toronto finally gets the monkey off their back, and I'm not just saying that because it was 5-0 last night. I've been saying that for a while now. Brian, back me up.
Yeah, you have, and you know what? I've been kind of puffing my chest about Toronto this season. They're a different team than they were the year before, and any of these other first round and out. They again, like Carolina, they went out and made moves on the defensive side. They went out and got backup goaltender to back up Jack Campbell. And then at the trade deadline, what did they do? They went out and got more defense to reassure it. So, that was the one thing that they were concerned about going into the season, especially after the last couple of years, was, okay, how do we shore up the defense? You have TJ Brody, you have Morgan Riley. That's 2 really good guys there. Okay. After that, who do you really have? You went out and you get Mark Giordano at the trade deadline. I think that's a huge addition. It's a huge addition for them. So
definitely help them.
It's leadership that you bring, and he's got experience in the Stanley Cup playoffs, and he can help in so many different ways. And like I said, this is a different Toronto team, and you saw them once they got that first goal past Vasilevsky, it was game on for them, and they just absolutely took off.
Physical team too coming out. Matter of fact, one I believe it was Kyle Clifford who got a 1-game suspension for a boarding call. I'm going to get into that during the shootout portion of the show to wrap us up tonight. But that's what you got to do. I mean, you got to play physical hockey in the playoffs, especially against a big team like the Tampa Bay Lightning. I think with Carolina, one thing touching back on, you guys were talking about them in terms of them bolstering up the East in terms of the East versus West. To me, obviously here in Philly, we know Roddy Brennamore. We know his work ethic. He's the hardest working guy on the ice, off the ice as a coach. And that's translated to the team. I mean, not only talented, but they have that blue collar workman's like effort. That's a good combination.
Yeah, Rod is definitely a great coach down there. I think it was on my Facebook or my Twitter, I don't remember, but somebody said, oh, let's bring Rod Brindamore back as coach. I'm like, no, he's fine where he's at. He has the attention of his locker room. His boys know what to expect from him. Why? No, don't bring him back. Keep him where he's at. He's happy
Right.
where he's at. That man needs a cup.
Yeah. Another cup.
Yeah. And my brother always says that man either drinks pre-workout dry or just snorts it because he's like bouncing around the locker room.
No doubt about it. Full of energy. We love the hot rod. We love Claude Giroux too. Now he's in Florida on a team that's just so balanced, so good in all 3 facets of the game. I mean, President Trophy winners, usually that's a curse, but I think they got to bolster. They have as good a shot as any, obviously some better than most, to make it to the finals, Brian. Going through these playoffs, I mean, we'll go into some of the individual games from yesterday and obviously tonight. We saw Roska chiming in. Rangers already up 2-0 on the Pens. We know Brad Ryer.
2-1.
Oh, it's 2-1 now?
It's
okay,
2-1
great.
now.
I'm in the dining room. I don't have the TV. I'm going to have to rely on you for the updates. I'm going to have to rely on you. In the,
Sounds
the
good.
live
Here's
reactions.
another one. 1-1 now in the Washington, Florida game. Sam Bennett with a snipe shot from the slot.
Nice. Sam Bennett. I mean, another good asset, another good pickup for this team. Former Calgary Flame, as Dylan would attest to. Never really got it going there, but certainly has got it going in Florida.
Yeah, he does. I mean, you just look at the talent on that Florida roster, coaching. It's everybody's everybody's wet dream right now is to play in Florida.
Yeah. I mean, it really is. I mean, you're talking about just a good situation up and down, good goaltending, great defense. good goal scoring. It's just absolutely, as good, like I said, good a shot as any, to represent the East. I mean, they're gonna have to get past an experienced Capitals team. We saw that in sorry, I got lost in my notes here a little bit. We will see that actually in game one when they face off. But I mean, ultimately, you look up and down this bracket. I mean, we have Toronto and Tampa Bay. We touched upon that a little bit. Toronto gets off to a good start. Now the Bruins, the opposite side of that Carolina Hurricanes matchup. I mean, they come with a lot of playoff experience. They're gonna answer back in that series, I would imagine, at some point.
Yeah. Go ahead, Sam.
Yeah, definitely. With especially with their defensive teams, you've got the amount of talent is just disgusting on that team, but they're very top heavy.
Right. Oh yeah.
And that doesn't serve you well, especially when you're in playoffs. And I've always said that playoff hockey is a completely different beast than regular season hockey.
Oh yeah.
No, for sure. And then on really both sides, Carolina and Boston, you're dealing with two goaltenders, at least as of right now, that lack playoff experience. And that plays a huge factor as well. I mean, you look on the Boston side, since we're going to discuss the Bruins here, Linus Ullmark played a lot of his time in Buffalo. Buffalo hasn't seen the playoffs in years. So there's that. And then you have Swayman, who's still a young kid overall. No playoff experience in the NHL. It's kind of tough, but like Sam said, they're built pretty well on the defensive side of the puck. A little top heavy on the offense, but I think if they can protect a little bit better and not give up as many, if they can clear the front of the net, essentially, because that's where a lot of the goals came from last night. If they can clear the front of the net and give Ullmark or Swayman the sight to see the puck, I think Boston could very much turn this into a series.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree, and I agree with Sam too. I mean, talk about like they've tried to spread out the wealth there in Boston, but always comes down to the perfection line, and then that really gets thin as you get down to the third and fourth lines.
And I was talking with someone earlier this weekend, and we were talking about Boston, Carolina. He's like, yeah, I have my money on Boston. I was like, you're really bold that you even say that to me, but besides the point. I was like, and I had to do somewhat convincing to him. I was like, Carolina has depth. Boston has holes right now. And that's kind of going to hurt them in the long run. If they get past Carolina and they make it into the second round, it's ultimately going to hurt them because they do have holes.
Oh, they do, and the bulk of their holes is their bottom six for me. I mean, yeah, they maybe have a hole or two on defense, but they have Hampus at home, Charlie McAvoy on the back end that can really lead these two. But on the offensive side, you get past Marchand and Pasta and Bergeron. There's nobody else really on that team. Maybe Taylor Hall you can throw into that mix too. That is like scary. And that's kind of when you go to the Carolina side. They got guys that can hurt you in a couple different ways. Not just sniping the puck, but guys that can move the puck, guys with good vision. They're a lot faster too.
Yeah, you've got Svechnikov, you've got Teravainen, you've got Aho, you've got Slavin, you've got Stahl. I mean, Stahl for his age is still moving.
Yeah.
Even Ian Cole, like all those guys are still moving and they're still playing, and you're seeing a team that finally has congealed together.
Yeah, that's one of the things that the GM has been saying, because I've been hearing, obviously being in the Raleigh area, I hear a lot of this stuff going around with the Hurricanes. He didn't want to make any moves at the deadline because he's very happy with how this team is and how they gel together and how they're playing together. So, that's huge. I mean, the Bruins, yeah, they've had a team that's been together, but it's really essentially just one line. And then you have Charlie McAvoy, and they moved his partner or let his partner Torrey Krug walk a couple years ago to go to St. Louis. So, you're still building chemistry with new guys, and now you got Hampus Lindholm in the mix, and you're mixing in another guy. So now they have to build chemistry again. And
yeah,
Carolina's good.
The only move Carolina made was Max Domi.
Right. Right, and he's not really like a wow move either. He's not like that guy who's going to put you over the hump. Max is good. I like Max. It's just not he's not a wow guy. He's not that guy that everybody thought he was going to be in Arizona before going to Montreal.
Dylan, I'm right there with you. We'll meet up together. Let's tailgate before we decide.
No doubt. Dylan chiming in. If the cup ends up being Flames versus Lightning and the Lightning win, I'll be jumping off the Ben Franklin Bridge. Dylan, always with the classic comments. I'm going to read a couple others real quick while we're talking about it. I know we flashed it up earlier. Young Das chimes in. Good evening, folks. Join the party late. Depressing my Flyers are not in the playoffs. Still hope Drew wins it all. How long you guys think before we are competitive again? We're going to go into this a little more in detail after we get done with the playoff talk, but let's answer this question now. Sam, what do you think?
You want my honest answer, or you want my media answer?
I want you that we do honesty on A2D. No agenda radio right here.
Damn right.
I mean, you've got Wade Allison, who can hopefully stay healthy. You've got Tanner Lazinski, who can hopefully stay healthy. I mean, he's had 2 hip surgeries in less than a year, and the kid's doing fabulous. He'll be fine. Not really worried about him. I am worried about Wade, though. We have Tyson Forrester. We've got Zade Wisdom. 2 to 3 years, maybe 4. It's gonna be a long time. It's not gonna be a quick overnight 1 season fix. Yeah, Doug, at least 4 years at the rate we're going.
I kind of like this comment from Doug as well. Homer and Clarkey need to be purged from this organization for good. Clarkey, I don't have as much of an issue with as I do Paul Holmgren.
I don't know. I think they and others need to be infused back in. This team has 0 identity since they've gone corporate. Enter in CEO scumbag Scott. Enter in Chuck Fletcher. It's just like, living in mediocrity and being fine with it. Whereas, did Homer and Clarkey make some dumb moves? Yeah, but passionate guys used to play this game. I'm not saying you have to keep it in Philadelphia, but maybe you do. I don't know.
I mean, I'm against the whole corporate scheme that they're doing now too, and that's something I was saying much earlier in the season. Probably like the midway point was kind of when I had my breaking point with this team was, you got to get a guy like David Scott out of here. There is no culture anymore. There is no identity to wearing this jersey anymore. It used to mean something. It's just not there anymore. And I don't necessarily say it's a Chuck Fletcher issue. It is definitely an ownership issue. It is a team president issue because this was happening long before Chuck Fletcher took over. Just a living in mediocrity, being stuck in the same spot over the course of 10 to 12 years. Something's got to change. And to me, you got to start at the very, very top. Ownership, team president. You got to get that culture back. You got to get that what it means to wear a Philadelphia Flyers jersey back. It's just not there.
Does that need to happen before they turn it around? And how long do you think it takes them, Brian?
It needs to happen as soon as possible. You need to get that culture back. I think a lot of it can be recreated with some of the younger guys that you bring up because they're going to obviously play with a little bit of a chip. One of those guys I think who can help rebuild that culture, unfortunately, is Wade Allison. And I don't mean unfortunately in a bad way. I mean, unfortunately, because he's been a little hurt over the last year and a half-ish. If he can stay healthy, he's exactly what you want in a Flyers uniform. He's a dog. He plays a gritty game. He has a nose for the net. You know, he gets to the front of the net and just parks it there. He gets into the dirty areas and battles for pucks. You know, that's what you want. He's a blue collar type of player. That's the type of culture that I feel like a Philadelphia Flyers should be. I mean, hopefully it doesn't take 4 years, but I mean, I'm with Sam, 2-3 years before you get there. I mean, the one thing that I was very happy about at the trade deadline is they didn't move any of the young guys. Mm-hmm. You know, some of the guys that you're trying to develop and get into the NHL. So that's a plus side. So optimistically, because that seems to be my downfall, 2 years. And that's me just being completely optimistic.
If they would have moved any of the young guys, old city. I mean, I had forgot they were even part of the organization, to be honest.
Yeah, right. No, sure, sitting in the background, but I mean,
but if
I think they did. Yep.
3 year. I mean, it's realistic. 3 years, 3 to 4 years.
Yeah. Because they kept the young guys and they gave them a lot of play and there was a lot of encouragement. I mean, a lot of goal scoring was going on by the younger brass, which was at least giving me a little bit of a sense of throw on the shades because the future looks a little bright. You know what I mean?
I mean, if they would have gotten rid of anybody like Phantoms wise and moving those young guys, one, I would have lost it. And two, we went through a lot of players this season due to injury, due to call-up, due to COVID. It just was ongoing. We'd signed so many players to PTOs and ATOs, and it just there was no room to move any young guys. You had Sam Ersson, who's out hurt. You had Kirill Ustamenko, who's out hurt with another core injury. You had Tyson Forrester out with a shoulder injury, had to have surgery. You had Zade Wisdom out with a shoulder injury, had to have surgery. Both Tyson and Zade got sent back to the OHL to rehab. They should be back this next year. And then, you know, you have Wade Allison, who went down a few times. You had Tanner Lazinski, who was out practically half of the season. You just had these like little injuries. You had Wyatt Wiley out twice with injury. You just had these little injuries that just kept building up. At one point, the entire Phantoms box where the players sit was full because of injuries.
Wow. And that could worry you. You know what I mean? That a lot of this talent is just injury prone, and that's going to extend the rebuild. You know what I mean? Because of even if some of these guys come to fruition, it's going to slow down that development time. You know what I mean? Not having time on the ice, it's a no-brainer. But you know, I don't know. When it comes down to it, we're gonna get into more details. Looking at the Phantoms roster, looking at the kids that we did see with the Flyers. I want to kind of pull it back to the topic of the day, that's Stanley Cup playoffs. Looking at the Western side of the bracket of Colorado Avalanche, Nashville Predators series, Minnesota Wild, St. Louis Blues, Calgary, Dallas, starting off tonight, Oilers and LA, where we saw McDavid on display, showing that coast-to-coast ability with another gorgeous goal last night. I'm going to go back to you, Sam. In terms of either in this first round or even looking down the road, what do you see happening in these Stanley Cup playoffs? What's some of your predictions?
Well, I kind of want to predict that Toronto is going to decimate Tampa Bay and get them the hell out, but you know, I'm always wrong. I can see Florida going. I want to say Carolina, but something's just telling me Florida. Western side, Calgary or the Wild. I want to say the Oilers, but that's only because I think McDavid is an alien, and yeah.
No, I hear you. I mean, definitely out of this world of talent, like no other, maybe that we haven't seen since Sidney Crosby came into the league. Brian, what do you see happening? What are you looking for in this first round? Who do you think represents each side of the bracket when it comes down to hoisting the cup?
Whew. The West is, like I said, the West is a lot easier. A lot of these matchups are what we covered last week, and I'm okay with that. I originally wanted the Wild to win that Blues series, but after seeing the way the Blues played in that game one, and then just really thinking about it over the last couple of weeks, I really believe that St. Louis is going to wind up eliminating Minnesota. St. Louis's physical game, I think, is just going to outmatch Minnesota. Then you had Bennington, who has the playoff experience. Cam Talbot should have been the guy that they rocked with, but I understand why you go out and you get a guy like Marc-Andre Fleury. His experience in the playoffs, he's a Stanley Cup goaltender.
And he literally he's out to Chicago. He's like, bye. I got my bags packed.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I think Minnesota is close, but I just don't think they're there yet. Once they get Ryan O'Rourke up and they get Marco Rossi into the lineup as well to go with Kaprizov, that's going to be a scary team. But I do think Calgary winds up repping the West. I think they really are the best team top to bottom. Maybe not the best in the league, but they're definitely the best in the West. I can't really see anybody really matching up well with them. And in the East is just the East is so tough because it could really go one of the 8 ways. Yeah. I know not a lot of people want to hear it, but I don't know. I think with the way the Canes played last night, Florida's not playing great early on here. Tampa Bay didn't look good. Toronto could be another. I think it could be Toronto or Carolina repping the East in the. But I want to see good physical playoff hockey, and we saw a lot of that early on in Toronto and Tampa. That's got blood boiling already.
Yeah. I saw a few comments on Twitter last night from people who really weren't like Carolina followers or fans, basically saying, I'm scared of Carolina.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, they don't have a superstar, but they roll. Rod Brindamore knows how to roll all 4 of his lines, and they just play. Like, they do all the little things right. And, like I said, a lot of the things they do well is, they crash the net, or if they don't have anybody in front of the net, they're not going to shoot the puck until somebody's there. They rely on that net front presence, which is something I think the Flyers have needed to get back to for a long time, and just don't do it. And Carolina's successful at it. They got a lot of guys who can get out in front and dig, and you still got like you were saying earlier, Sam. Jordan Staal is the last couple of weeks have been playing like the Jordan Staal he was in Pittsburgh and just getting to Carolina. Like a younger version of himself.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's just. Carolina, no superstars to really be afraid of, but they roll 4 lines and they play defense.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Yes, sir. Peeking into tonight's action right now. We got the Penguins tied it up against the Rangers. 4 minutes, 40 seconds left to go in period number 2. Tied at 2 on the scoreboard. At the end of 1 in Florida, still Caps 1. Panthers 1, and being the end of that first period, it'll be the end of our first period. If you're looking to buy or sell a home, looking for a change in career or brokerage, contact Alan Foyer at eXp Realty LLC at 302-682-8820, or visit him at alan.foyer at xprealty.com. Also, one thing I saw pop up during the games, interesting stat, with that 5-0 defeat of the Tampa Bay Lightning by the hands of the Toronto Maple Leafs, It's actually the largest shutout win in a playoff opener over the reigning Stanley Cup champion. It bested the 4-0 defeat of the Dallas Stars, beating your Anaheim Ducks back in 2008, Brian, and the Rangers beating the Bruins 4-0 back in 1940. Really some history being made already. Day one, the Stanley Cup. I talked to you, Brian, putting the show together. I just think this is the greatest tournament in sports. And I mean, I don't think I'm going to get many people disagreeing with me on this show. Other areas, it's always a good topic for debate. I just get geeked up for the Stanley Cup playoffs, whether the Flyers are in it or not.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to really deny the greatness that is the NHL playoffs. It's created new fans every year. There's one dude in St. Louis that I remember specifically. It's like, I've never watched a game of hockey in my life, and I'm never going to. Sits down, watches game 1 or game 3 or something like that of the Stanley Cup. He's like, why not? It's on. There's nothing else on. Created a fan right then and there. It's the physicality. It's the atmosphere of the fan base. It's the intensity of the players. There's just the unpredictability of this, like Sam was saying, this beast, this monster that is the Stanley Cup playoffs. And, it's everybody wants that cup because it is in fact the greatest trophy in all of sports.
And I lost touch with hockey for about 10 years. My brother played it all my life. So I was kind of, we were always Flyers fans in this house. And I got back into it. I went to a game in 2017 and there were like 4 fights within like the first period. I looked at my friend that I was with. I was like, I like this again.
Claude Giroux just took the lead for Florida.
Yeah, I saw that too. I actually did peek in early second period. Now they just got back going. Yeah, Joseph Orkowski chimes in. Wild, Flames, Panthers, Rangers in my final 4. Panthers over Flames for the Stanley Cup. Got to go for Giroux, and lo and behold, Giroux, big goal. What's up, Jesse? Mm-hmm. What's up, Joe? Thanks for joining us tonight.
As always, we appreciate you guys. Giroux just continues his tear, man. I think he's like 1.5 point per game since going to Florida.
And it's funny that you say that because we see these players that leave this organization and do tremendously well. I was saying it to Jamie Baskow, owner of Flyers Nitty Gritty, I was saying to Jesse Bell, owner of Old City. You have, I always use him as an example. Rob, if you've been following me long enough to know I'm going to say his name, Alex Lyon. Did he do well here? Yeah. Was he a solid AHL goaltender here? Yeah. Could he have been a solid backup here? Absolutely. He could have handled a backup load. He goes to Carolina. They send him to Chicago, the AHL affiliate, and he is now the number 2 goalie in the AHL.
It's not even just in hockey either. It's in all the sports. We've had people, for the Phillies, leave the organization and, not great in the minors, but all of a sudden become really solid major league players. And we see it in basketball as well. We've seen it in football. All these guys just turn their careers around because the fan base and sometimes even the ownership, GMs, whatever, they're just not patient enough to wait it out. And I know Alex Lyon was a different situation. His contract was up and, obviously had a couple decisions to make at the goaltending position. And for some reason you went after Marty Jones instead. You let Alex Lyon walk. And now, the Philly reputation strikes again.
And I know that when teams are in the Stanley Cup, they're allowed to carry, obviously, extra people. Alex did just come back from an injury, so I think that's why they're keeping him in Chicago right now. Plus, this is one of the teams that both the NHL and the AHL affiliate are in their respective playoffs.
By the way, we've had Jamie on the show before. We're very familiar with Jamie. Jamie's actually turned into a pretty good friend of mine.
Jamie's great.
We love Jamie. Well, I love Jamie. I don't know about this guy over here, but I love Jamie. Jamie's a good dude.
100%. Oh, absolutely, man. I read through the articles all the time being posted, Flyers Nation. Also this one little private Flyers group as well. Was it a PFFC, something like that? But
I took a picture of Kevin Hayes, and it was on my camera, obviously, because I didn't get a chance to put it on my computer at the time. And I took a picture of it with my phone. I was like, man, I can't wait to get home and edit this picture. He's like, that's fire.
Jamie just brings the energy, and I love it. That's to me that's my appeal to him. Is
I've never seen that man so exhausted, and he is done. He's done with this.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun with Jamie on the show. We're glad to have you on the show finally. I know we were talking about this for a while, and we could always continue this. You, Jamie, whenever you guys want to come on, you're always welcome. Not that we're wrapping tonight up anytime soon, but I wanted to say that before I forgot. I go to you, Brian, here and reflect. We talked a lot about what went down last night, but what were, some of your other impressions that maybe we haven't covered yet? I mean, just throwing up an example, looking at that Kings-Oilers game, another game that's tightly contested, yet the Oilers can't get it done. Defense coming up and being that Achilles heel to them makes me think that a Kings team that probably shouldn't have been here yet, they rebuild themselves a little bit, building around their veterans, maybe more of a retool, and they're back in the playoffs, maybe win this first night. What were some of your impressions, Brian?
Well, I didn't get to watch that game. I was in bed and asleep because I'm an old man these days. But being a 4-3 final,
I caught it in the morning.
A little bit of a back and forth game from what I hear, but I'm not very surprised by this outcome early on. This Kings team is good. They're fiery. They have a physical edge to their team, but you got a lot of young talent on that roster. And, like I was saying last week too, man, this Oilers team offensively, they're good. You got obviously Drysdale and McDavid, Nugent Hopkins. They got guys that can put the puck in the net, but on the back end, they make me a little concerned. I think they're a little young on the back end, and their goaltending is incredibly suspect. I haven't believed in Mike Smith since leaving Arizona. I haven't believed in Koskinen that much either. I mean, their goaltending suspect, and this offense carries the team. They carry the Edmonton Oilers, and it's only a matter of time before somebody comes in and takes advantage of the Achilles heel that is that defense and goaltending. And I think the LA Kings could absolutely be the team that does that and gives the Oilers yet another first-round exit because for some reason, they don't want to address the goaltending situation. They just don't. They bring back Mike Smith. Why? He's 40 years old. He hasn't had it in a long time, but yet you keep bringing him back.
Right.
Defensive end, they got some guys there that can do the job. They're young. They're young. I mean, I like Darnell Nurse. I think he's a good number one guy. But after that, I mean, Brogdon is good, but he's just young. Not a lot of experience on the blue line here for this Oilers team. It's just, I think the Kings could take advantage of that because you still have guys like Anze Kopitar. Dustin Brown's calling it a career at the end of the year if he hasn't already pull a Ryan Getzlaf and duck out a little early. You still got Drew Doughty on the back end. They still got a lot of leadership in a lot of places to fill in for the lack of experience from
that comment.
Some of these guys are here.
We get some good comments.
Which one? This one? There's a lot.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say, because I'm petty and that's just who I am. Isn't the Coyotes just where we go to dump contracts?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah, Tom, I saw that 3-3. Brian, apparently when you talk, goals are just scored. It doesn't even have to be a Flyers game. While you were speaking there, 2 goals, quick succession. Rangers took the lead 3-2. Pittsburgh ties it right back 3-3. Goals from Chris Kreider, who's just been playing all out of this world this year. All time, his career best in goal scoring. And then Brian Rust matches with helpers from Malkin and Letang, just guys that have been there before, just doing their thing. Man, this is going to be a hell of a series. If this is already the first 2 periods of hockey, mud on.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned, though, because Rickard Rakell took a high hit. I don't know if he's been back in the game yet, but he took a high hit, was helped off the ice. No penalty call. It was a clean hit, in my opinion. Did he get him a little high? Yeah, but Rakell also likes to be the type of guy. He skates a little bit lower, so he's going to take – it's going to look like it's a little bit higher, but needed help off the ice. Hopefully he's okay, because Pittsburgh's going to need him to get out of this first round alive.
Absolutely. Yesterday we saw the Blues shut out the Wild on their home ice, 4-0. Look up the goal scorers here. We had goals from Perron, O'Reilly, Perron again with this. Oh, Perron with the hat trick. This was one game I missed. Just caught the very tail end of it. Sam, are you surprised that the St. Louis Blues delivered a 4-0 shellacking to the Wild?
I kind of am, because the Blues were a sleeper team.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, a team that's been there, good coaching, but nothing really blowing you out of the water, kind of like you almost take them for granted. They're just there. And those are the teams that I think are the most dangerous in this tournament, because they're going to show you that we're more than just there. We're here to win. And, you talk about a good goaltending situation where you have 2 good goaltenders, in Ville, Husso, and Jordan Bennington, a guy that's been there before, has been a Stanley Cup darling, maybe not playing his best hockey this year, but just a nice young goaltender tandem there. And they went with Ville in game 1. Which I don't think was a big surprise based on how they broke off playing time. Do you think if he should struggle at all, do you think they go to Bennington at all? Or do they stick with the young goaltender? Just open-ended question there.
I think teams should definitely, go for their younger goaltenders, but who are we? We don't make those decisions.
We should though.
That's how I was with the Flyers this year. I was just like, everyone's like flipping out over decisions made, and just like I'm sitting there on Twitter like, you guys, are you Mike Yeo? Are you making the decision?
No.
Couch GMs, man, they're everywhere. They think they know what's best for the organizations, but if they did, they'd be having a job with those organizations. But I mean, it's my 2 cents that I'm going to throw in there. I think they should. I mean, if they really want to run at the cup and they see that Husso's not playing his best, one of the best ways to spark a team is to change up that goaltending. I mean, you see it in mid-game. Sometimes it provides a spark. Sometimes it doesn't. So we'll find out if it gets to that situation. But I think Husso is the guy you've run with for now, as long as he's playing good hockey.
Yeah. Even if he should struggle at some point, let him get through it. You know what I mean? Like, too many times they're too quick to make that change. Now you're down 3-0, you're down 3-2, elimination game. I get it. You got to pull out stops, but otherwise, if you're in a series, you're creating a problem that shouldn't be there, because I've just always been a firm believer that when you have 2 goalies, you have none. I mean, I did present them in terms of having a good situation based on who they have on their roster, but you got to commit to one guy. I think it's something that cost the Flyers in the past. I think that's maybe Mr. Captain Obvious comment of the evening. But I don't know. Dan saying this is the most professionally dressed Rob that I've ever seen. That's right. Well, when we have guests, I gotta not dress like a slob, Dan. That's what I gotta do.
Well, Dan, it's because they have a lady on the show tonight.
Well, I mean, just kind of, there you go, Dan. Enjoy that one a little bit up there in Vancouver. By
Our
the way,
resident Vancouver.
hope you're enjoying the playoffs there. That you were so confident in your team. How'd that work out for you, Dan?
We love you, Daddy. Our definitely resident Vancouver troll chiming in as always. Good to see you. Sorry I missed you last week. It was my turn to be sick. Now it's Maddie. Brian, you'll be sick next week, even though you're
Wait,
a
is
couple
he a
states away.
Vancouver? Is he a Vancouver fan?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
He actually thought they were going to playoffs.
Yeah, surprisingly, they do exist.
And he did think that, yes. But hey, who am I to laugh with this banner behind me?
Yeah, exactly. We have no
Yeah.
room to talk.
Right.
Well, neither do I.
Yeah, you weren't the fourth worst team in hockey. You know, I mean, in the
No,
East,
but they teased us all. They teased the fan base all year. So
You like a
hey, we're gonna give you some hope, and then we're just gonna take it away.
Hey, Stoley the goalie is all right.
I love Stoley.
Yeah, man.
He's been so good. What is that fuck shit on your shirt? Nah, bro.
No, he's
USA
talking about
hockey, bro.
USA hockey, absolutely.
Well, he knows I'm a Ducks fan. Me and him have been going at it all year long, especially when Anaheim would play Vancouver. Me and him would just take shots at each other.
All in good fun. Looking ahead, you know, we're getting into more of these Western Conference matchups tonight, starting at 9:30. Nashville going into Colorado for Game 1. Brian, I mean, you know, we talked a lot about Calgary Flames and how complete of a team they are. Are people overlooking the Avalanche, or are they going to do the same old, look good in the regular season, disappoint in the playoffs?
I don't know. I honestly, I don't know, because I haven't seen a lot of buzz around this series specifically outside of Dylan, obviously, for obvious reasons. I don't know. Like, I think these are two very complete teams. I've been saying with Colorado, though, you know, if they can get the goaltending in place and not have the luck that they had last year and lose two goalies in one series, you know, I think they can. I think they could be okay, but I think this is going to be a 7-game series. I think this is going to be a hard-fought series, and it's just it could absolutely be a I don't know.
Dan.
Later, Dan. I don't know. I really don't know what to expect from this series, because it could really go either way. I really have no expectations for this series. I just want it to be a good series.
Yeah, I think, you know, what are you going to get from your character guys on the Avalanche? You saw Nazem Kadri really step up for the Colorado Avalanche, especially when they were missing some of their top pieces. And, you know, will he step up and help, you know, protect the depth of the Avalanche? I think that'll be a key question in the series. Goaltending will be a big key question in the series, because you got it. I think you have to give the notch to the Predators, don't you, Sam?
Yeah, the Preds they're there. That's for sure. They definitely showed their face this year.
Yeah, I mean, I did not expect them to be a playoff team this year, and I'm not necessarily sure they did, but you know, you had the resurgence of Matt Duchene, Philip Forsberg kind of really finding his game again and really putting the puck back in the back of the net. I mean, we already knew what they had goaltending wise. Defensively, they're still fairly solid. I don't know. With this Nashville team, I think they could definitely make some noise. Stars just have to align for them.
I think so too. I mean, and they really rely on the young goaltender, Yusei Saros. I mean, that's the advantage that they have. I mean, Darcy Kemper can be good. Francois can be good. But again, a situation where two goaltenders, no goaltender. And, I don't think I'd be comfortable putting all my eggs in one basket for either of the gentlemen, but certainly Darcy Kemper, who's been, good in this league, not great. I wouldn't be surprised if Nashville plays a little spoiler there for the Colorado Avalanche, just making, McKinnon rip out more hair at another series-ending press conference. Shifting over to the series I think Dylan wants to talk about, and that's Dallas Stars at Calgary Flames starting tonight at 10 o'clock. This is one of the series that I think I was most looking forward to coming in, because you have a Dallas Stars team that was hot down the stretch. They had to be to hold off the Vegas Golden Knights. Not that they were exactly pushing the envelope, but that was a nice competition for that last wild card spot versus a Calgary team that's just done it consistently all year long. I don't know. Does Dallas have the chance to play spoiler like Nashville, or is this a slam dunk? What do you guys think?
So I'm gonna let you take that one first.
First of all, you didn't need to hold off that other team that shall not be named.
Sure. I kind of stopped myself there too. You're right.
And the fact that who went after them, and was it no? I forget who went after the Knights, but they did a little riddle on their
the Sharks.
The Sharks, yeah, they did a little riddle. I was sitting in the Phantom's press box when I saw that, and I literally had to write every letter out. I was like, oh my God.
That was a good way to do it.
Yeah. But San Jose shouldn't really be talking. But yeah, no, the Western Conference, man, it's just, I feel like it's weak. They have 2 or 3 good teams, and it's just,
I totally agree. The majority of the Western Conference is rebuilding, or maybe just slightly above mediocre, outside like we've been saying almost all month. Calgary, Colorado, it's really your top 2 teams out there. And
hey, let's not forget about the fabulous Seattle Kraken.
I expected that, actually, after seeing their expansion draft, but I like what Ron Francis did. He's not necessarily building for the moment like Vegas did, because obviously the fan base wanted a Seattle team. Vegas, you're not really sure how it's going to work. So, you have to build a team to win now, and I thought they got a good GM to do that in George McAfee. So now they're sitting at home for the first time watching the playoffs with what was it? I don't want to say this is the wrong number, but like a $500 million roster.
Well, and the fact that they took AHL players from nearly every team.
Oh yeah. Yeah, but I'm excited to see Jack Eichel, not in another playoff series, doing what he does best, sitting at home.
Yeah.
Makes me wonder if that's a curse.
He needs to recover.
I think so too. I thought he played pretty well, considering he looked like he wasn't really in any pain, but for missing as much hockey as he did, he didn't look terrible. But I think next year you're going to see a completely different Jack Eichel moving forward, especially with that Vegas team.
I was the first game I took photographs for Jamie for was a Knights Flyers game back in March, and I was so excited because I was like, I love Jack Eichel, I can't wait to see him in person, and I got some really awesome shots of him. And
oh, that's awesome.
I got some awesome shots of Carter Hart too, but you know how that ended.
He's gonna be another guy that's gonna be forced out of town.
Yeah, we got it in Philly. You gotta stop forcing your athletes out of town if they don't do what you like. I love Carter Hart. I always have loved Carter Hart, even when he was on the West Coast playing for the Everett Silvertips. You gotta stop blaming your young goaltenders when something goes wrong. Yes, Carter Hart is 23, but he's still a baby.
Mm-hmm.
He's still learning. He's still finding himself. He's still finding an identity. Stop running these athletes out of town.
I couldn't agree more. I used to work for Pure Hockey up in Jersey, and one of the kids that I worked with was a goaltender, and he's worked with NHL players and guys who've gone into the NHL draft and all. He's like, most of the issues that Carter Hart is having is not necessarily on him. A lot of it's been on the defense. Obviously, obviously we've saw a lot of that this year. But he's like, the kid's not even in his prime yet. He's not going to hit his prime until 24, 25. Like, that's the average for goaltenders.
No,
but when he does,
and
he's going to be filthy.
I've always said this: you're only as good as the guys in front of you doing their job. Those 5 men in front of you have to be doing what they have to do in order for you to be doing what you have to do. Plain and simple.
Rob, that sounds familiar. Who else has said that?
Yeah, it fits right in like spaghetti and tuna fish, like peas and carrots. In terms of what we've been preaching on this show, so many people wanting to run athletes out of this town and not allowing them to develop. I mean, you look at all the great goaltenders in this league. There's a learning curve. They don't hit it right from the get-go, and especially when you don't have that defense playing at full capacity in front of you, it just makes your job that much tougher.
Yes, Ted, and I blame some of the fan base too for that, because you know what? When something goes wrong, we're so quick to run somebody out of town. Things didn't go right with JD Drew. What happened? We ran him out of town. We ran Carson Wentz out of town, but then again, that's a whole nother story now that we've seen who he actually truly is. We've run so many players out of town in this city that have been great. Give me an example of me or Sam being wrong. Guys don't play to our expectations. First thing we do is we run them out of town instead of letting them figure it out. That's why that Philly has a reputation of athletes leaving the city and having success in other cities. That's why we don't have it here. This city has no patience.
Let's not say Carson Wentz had success.
Well, right, but I'm just saying, because now we know who he truly is after seeing him in Indy.
Yeah,
barely average quarterback, but just saying, let's stop running athletes out of town. Let's let these guys develop. Let's be a little bit more patient, and maybe we'll get some more championships here in Philly.
Yeah, I mean, Ted, the goalies are standing on their heads, but they shouldn't have to if the guys in front of them were doing their job.
Yep, your defenders are there for a reason. Your goalie's never going to stop 100% of the shots. Ever.
I mean, do you know how many times I saw in Phantoms games this year? Because I'm at every single home game. How many times they let Sandstrom stand on his head because they weren't at the net? How many times they let Pat Nagel stand on his head because they weren't at the net? I swear to God, we had like 15 goalies this year. We had PTO and ATO goalies. They were letting them stand on their heads because they weren't doing their job.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
absolutely.
I have to agree with this statement here. The fan base wanted G gone so badly because he was a bad captain. He wasn't the captain type. He wasn't producing. And now he's gone in Florida, and he's probably going to win a cup.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm rooting for it.
This comment, Ted, no offense to you, but I've heard it so much that excuse my language, but it pisses me off. Where do you think your major league players come from? Regardless of basketball and football, where do you think your major league baseball players come from? Where do you think your major league hockey players come from? They come from the minor leagues. So it's not just the minor league. Yeah, some guys don't make it out of the minor league and they're AHL lifers. It doesn't matter, though. Where do you think some of your players come from? Giroux started with the Phantoms. Sorry. When you're a minor league reporter, that comment just kind of tweaks you a little bit.
Nah, preach, speak your mind. I mean, certainly I've seen some of my best hockey at AHL games, watching the Phantoms back when they were playing the Spectrum, dating all the way up to current. And yeah, hockey, I mean, all sports rely upon player development, but I think hockey is probably the most. I think it's at the top of the list in terms of the importance of player development. That's going to tie me into a point on the other side of the read, but I just want to conclude our second period with our sponsor, which is All Campus, home of A2D Ramp Booth. They're giving 20% off everything in the store, including hats, shirts, and our team cornhole sets to all subscribers. Go visit them, All Campus. John Coyle, good dude out there in Vegas, doing a great job with the NFL draft, right, Brian?
Oh, they did an awesome job. Got a bunch of great guests, had a bunch of great interviews. They killed it out there.
Right. Absolutely. So we're going to shift it to pure Flyers talk. We got what would be a hockey happy hour if we didn't either vent or talk about the Philadelphia Flyers. And big news that went down today: Mike Yao fired, or at least saying he would not return as head coach for the Flyers for the 22-23 season. He was 17-36-7 after replacing Alain Vigneault. Sam,
Rob, not to interrupt, not
go
to
for
interrupt you, but
please.
Anthony just said he goes to a lot of Reading Royals games, and the Royals are headed towards the second round of the Calgary Cup Playoffs. So we have one team to be proud of in this organization. Let's go, baby Flyers.
That bears mentioning, and that bears shutting me up to say that, hey, it's good to see winning somewhere in the organization, right?
Their bus, so there was a video, and I think Spit and Chicklets actually put it on Instagram. I believe it was Spit and Chicklets. Their bus broke down last night on the way home from Maine, and no hotel in Portland had room. The team slept on the floor of a conference room.
What?
Oh, that's brutal.
After they just won the series. And they're like, we're so tired, we don't care.
Hey, you got to get your rest somehow.
So I'm sorry, Rob. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, please. I'll go on and yammer on forever. That did bear mentioning. And it actually ties in right to where I was going with that. Player development. Do you think Yao explores other options for another organization, or will he stay in the organization and do what I think his really good wheelhouse is, and that's working with young players and player development? What's your take on that, Sam?
For sure. The younger players definitely took to him, especially Cam Yorkie took to him. Sorry, we call them by their nicknames up there. It's hard to get out of that.
No,
it's all welcome here. We use their nicknames sometimes too if we know them.
Frosty, I was on a podcast earlier in the season, and we were having a debate over, is Frost a bust or not? And I said he was, and I feel like towards the end of the season, this child was making me eat my words. It's remaining to be seen. I'm kind of indifferent about it right now. But for sure, Mike Yeo, Cam York took to him, Noah Cates took to him, Bobby Brink, Ronnie Attard, Zamula, any kid that was brought up, Yo, I feel kind of like took them under his wing and was just like, this is how you're supposed to play. Now, do I think he's good head coach material? Absolutely not. We saw that. Do I think he was handed a really, really bad timing, and it just there's no other words. I think he's going to be kept in the organization. I don't know what he'll be offered. There's calls. Everybody has their opinion about Lappy. Obviously, I've gotten to know Lappy over the last 7-8 months now. Everyone's like, oh, he's a horrible coach. He's a first-year head coach in the minor league, doing what he's learning. From the beginning to the end, it got better. He I think he was trying to be more of a friend in the locker room compared to at the end of the season where he was a head coach and he was just like, look, guys, we're losing. Get it the hell together. They were making a push for playoffs. Phantoms were. They were absolutely making a push for playoffs. And then because of the amount of games that weren't being played, different teams were playing a different amount of games due to COVID and whatever. And it wasn't being based on points anymore. It was point percentage. So the Phantoms got knocked out. I believe if they would have beat a team or two in the last couple games, they would have been in. Not saying they would have gotten far, but they would have been in.
Sure.
But everyone's like, oh, well, why don't we move Mike Yoda, coach of the Phantoms? I'm like, do you want the Lehigh Valley to burn down? Listen, it almost went up in flames when they announced Lappy was coach.
Right. That's a fabulous comment. If you're just joining us, Sam Weismer is joining us. He's a writer, photographer, Flyers Nitty Gritty, covers the Lehigh Valley Phantoms. Chuck Fletcher said in a statement after the released Yao, we dealt Mike a really tough hand. He's a good coach. I thought he did a really good job under the circumstances. He kept our players competing and playing hard to the end. Nice, pretty PC comment. But I mean, it does have some tying into, yes, I agree with you, right? He's probably not head coach material, but the man, his overall record, 263, 217, and 62 in 542 regular season games. So a well above 500 winning percentage. Here's the key: 17 and 22 in 39 playoff games. Not that that was an issue here in Philadelphia, but maybe another reason why you move on in head coach and the Phantoms move on having first year Ian LaPerriere in the role of head coach. Sam, tell us something about Ian that maybe we don't know as fans.
He's actually really funny. He's very sarcastic. He likes to joke, especially when he comes in the room. I know a couple weeks ago, or the week before last, or last week sometime, it was only me and the announcer for Service Electric. Her name is Christy Falkerson. And it was only the two of us in the room. And he walks in and he goes, oh, I've got all ladies tonight. And he sits down and is like, yeah, you got lucky. And I wasn't attending a game as press. I have season tickets as well. So I sit in my seats. I split time. And I was sitting in my seats, and my one co-writer at Nitty Gritty, his name is Joe Borick. He also covers the Reading Royals. So he's still working. He's like, when I was in press box, it was me, this other kid, Joey, and Tony Andrakaitis, who is from Inside AHL Hockey. He, I guess, Lappy said to them, no offense, guys, but where's Sam? She's much better looking than the three of you. So I go into the next press conference, and I was like, Lappy, so I hear you think I'm good looking. He goes, that's our little secret.
That's tremendous. It's good. It's good keeping the boys loose in the locker room with a little levity. And I remember him. He was in Knocked Up, right? Didn't he show his teeth or something? Took out his teeth.
Yeah, it was him, Hartnell, JVR, and some other no-name hockey player that was in This Is 40.
Oh, that's what it was. This Is 40. That's what it was. Yeah, the sequel to that. That's awesome.
I don't even know what that even supposed to mean.
Quack quack. Is that the meaning behind quack quack?
I wonder if he's trying to say molesting.
He is. That's why I'm cracking up so hard.
Oh, that
molesting.
Something like that.
What the hell's molesting?
Seriously.
Is that giving a Molson Ice to a duck?
His attempts to trolling aren't always A+.
Before we get into it, Sam, I want to give you an opportunity to tell our viewers a little about yourself, your background, like how long you've been working with the Phantoms, whatever you want to share with us.
All right. Well, I feel like it's a job interview, but I graduated from Kutztown University in 2018 with my bachelor's of social work degree. So that's what I do as a full-time job. Fun fact, old people are vicious. Just saying, when they don't get something, I get the call and it's usually not pleasant. And my one individual, he comes up on my phone and I have caller ID, so I answer the phone with his name, and he's like, "How do you know it was me?" I was like, "I have caller ID, bro." So yeah, I do that as my full-time job, and I started writing with Nitty Gritty last season, at the beginning of last season. I can't look at his comments anymore.
I can always just boot him out of the group if you want me to.
No, it's fine.
You have the power now, yeah.
I do have the power now. I can just kick him out. He was bitching at me the other day. He's like, "Did you kick me out?" I'm like, "No, why?"
So
he's like,
one of my
didn't see my comment. I'm like, "No, we just ignored your ass."
So one of my friends brought me on to write with Jamie, and yeah, I started writing last season, at the beginning of last season. I did game recaps. I didn't do so many game recaps this season because there's only so many ways you can write that this team sucks.
Yeah, right.
So, I do a lot of player profiles, which I think is super important to the guys that are in the minor league, because you may not know a lot about them. Sometimes they don't have a lot of history, so I kind of got to, do like multiple paragraphs. But it's always good to get that background on that player. And Jamie kind of threw me in to photography. He had booked me and another writer, Amadeo, in the press box. He's like, "Sam, do you still have your camera?" And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Why?" He's like, "Well, I double booked you and Amadeo." He's like, "Is it okay if I throw you into photography?" I'm like, "Sure." So they throw me in, and they gave me one of those ice holes that you see. If you're close to the glass, you'll see a photographer in a hole. Yeah, that's super scary. You get yelled at by the NHL if you don't close the hole. Or not. I was like, "I'm sorry, I'm new." But yeah, so that's what I've been doing. I have 2 podcasts, Pucking Flyers with John Papp and Patrick Wilson. John likes to use a soundboard, which annoys the living hell out of me. And my podcast on Old City Sports Network, which is Superstorm. And that's focusing on Carolina and the Wolves.
Awesome.
And my co-host her name is Shannon Archer, and she lives right in the heart of Raleigh. She's a season ticket holder for the Canes, so she was perfect.
Might have to reach out to her. Get some info on this team, a little more info on this team. It's a little inside info on this team.
Yeah, local source for you right there down in the Carolinas. Yeah, you can find Sam on Twitter at Samantha Weismer. You also have Instagram page dedicated to photography.
Yeah, Sam Wismer Photography, and Pucking Flyers also has an Instagram, but we're listen, I gotta juggle 3 Instagrams, 3 Twitters. It's a lot.
Well, me and Robbie have a hard time juggling our one social media page.
I'm a spastic mess. I'm too old for this shit. Just like
Danny Glover. Same.
Yeah, just request the page. I'll add you. I had to lock down social media for a little bit, so
that's important at times. I mean, it's vital for what we do, but sometimes it pays to lock it down for a little bit. I try to at least spend 24 hours a week off of social media, like just decompressing, getting off of it, just for my own mental health.
I was actually banned for a week on Facebook because of my mouth. It doesn't have I posted a screenshot of my goaltending Flyers Future Part 1. I'm still working on Part 2, which is going to be going in the past of goaltenders that we currently have or we've signed and let go. It's going to be a whole thing. But it hit over 2,000 views, and that was the first time any of my articles have hit over 2,000 views.
Nice.
Well, my friend Dawn said, #trade heart. And I commented back, #I will slap you. Apparently, slap is inciting violence.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? Like, this is why I'm not going to get too far into this, but yeah. I've said some things, and I've gotten restricted statuses on I'm like, wait, because I forget what it was on. I think it was like it was something on the Eagles or something, and one of the guys was they were doing a show on here, and they were talking, should the Eagles rebuild? I'm like, yeah, blow it up, start all over. They don't look at context; they look for keywords. So slap,
yeah, it's
blow
the
it
algorithm.
up.
If you think somebody's reporting your comment, they're not. It's the algorithm. So I got banned for 3 days last season or during the summer because I said I wanted to set a hallway on fire because it had Bruins stuff all over. I was like, okay, accurate. I do need to be banned for that.
I mean, a lot of it's just
sort of
context. It's, they don't look at what you're commenting on, and it's like you said, it's the algorithm. It's looking for keywords.
Yeah.
What's up, Troy? I see you in there.
And what's funny is Brian over here is like one of the most passive, peaceful dudes to get banned. I mean, that was a shock to me. I'm like, what did you do?
I didn't get banned.
Well,
I just got put on restriction.
Restriction.
The funny thing is that I had people messaging me on Facebook Messenger. Are you okay? Is everything okay? We haven't seen you post. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm fine. I'm alive. Don't worry.
Isn't that crazy where people will see a post, they think like you're dead somewhere in a ditch? Like maybe I just want to jump off, or maybe I'm being forced to jump off.
I texted people back and I was like, if you want to know anything about my life, go on Twitter this week.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe Elon Musk will give us a little more liberties.
I have a Twitter. I just don't use it.
Jumping back to the Flyers, 31st in the NHL in goals per game, 2.56. 27th in goals against per game, 3.59. That's not a good recipe. 32nd on the power play at 12.6%, and 26th on the penalty kill, 75.7% this season. So how do they turn it around? I mean, like that's basically what we're going to take a look at here to wrap up the show. Is there brighter days ahead? Can we look forward to brighter days ahead? We talked about, maybe a 2 to 3, maybe 4-year turnaround it'll take for this team to be competitive. But who's going to help that team? Sam, you were talking about before we went on that Ronnie Attard and another player was not mentioned by Mr. Fletcher.
So Jamie and his wisdom, he's like, oh, well, Noah Cates and Ronnie Attard weren't mentioned in the press conference today. He's like, I'm kind of trying to think about what Chuck is thinking about doing. And he said he's going to move younger players out to bring pieces in. He said that in the press conference today. I texted back Jamie, me being the sassy person that I am, that is he getting old and senile? Because heads will roll if he trades Noah Cates. He will be absolutely stupid to do that. I had that kid pegged to make the starting roster for the 22-23 season.
I mean, with the way that he played, I think he kind of almost cemented that.
I love Jackson too. Jackson's great too. Unfortunately, he did miss about the last 6 weeks of the Phantom season. He took an extremely hard hit to the wall, and he hit his face, the front of his body. And if he would have hit his back or his head and did something to his neck, it would have been career ending. That's how hard the hit was. It was literally the hit you could hear around the stadium.
Oh wow.
I was getting a drink and food with my one friend. Him and I were walking around the arena, and we literally just stopped because everything went silent. I was just like, oh my God, that's not good. And we saw someone down on the ice, but we couldn't figure out who it was.
Oh, this
Troy,
is a good one by
Chuck,
Newell.
oh, I was going to say, Troy, Chuck Fletcher said that he was going to trade some younger players.
What is this?
Yeah, and
guy
I'm sure
doing?
he's
What
probably
is this
trying
guy
to get
doing?
this. He's probably trying to get back into the playoffs as soon as possible, but I don't think he realizes that he's not going to be able to do that this year. I mean, I'm still trying to consider some coaching options here. Obviously, I know who I want, but I have a funny feeling that it's not going to be on. It's going to be somebody off the list that people are looking at.
And for Stars and Flames tonight.
What up, Priz?
Yeah, you're gonna be some contention here. If man, you got Flames, you got Stars, Prison, Dylan gonna be battle.
B-ball Josh. I miss Jerry Mayhew. I miss him too.
Don't worry, B-ball. He kept up his play in Anaheim.
Jerry was one of those players that was just an antagonist. He was pesky on the ice, and I'm just like, oh my God, why would you move someone like that?
Because apparently they don't like the blue collar players here. Apparently,
Imagine Chuck Fletcher gives head coach to Sam Marin so he can have a job. I mean, it could happen.
I feel like that's a huge stretch, though.
Yeah, maybe get him into coaching. Work his way up to stay affiliated with the game. I could dig that. I could definitely dig that.
A 26-year-old NHL head coach? Stop it.
Yeah,
That's
a little early.
Roy, it's not to rebuild; it's to aggressively retool.
Right. But I mean, what does that mean? Like all this verbiage, I mean, you got to look at it like this. Look at what's going on in the league. You see teams fall out of grace. They lick their wounds. They retool through the draft. And look at what the Rangers are doing. Look at what the Kings are doing. Look at what Anaheim's in mid-process of doing. Look at Detroit. Detroit's another great example of a quick turnaround. I mean, so you're going to try to do that by trading guys that could be the future of this franchise just to get that sounds like a very old way of thinking to me. I mean, I've heard talk of Morgan Frost as well. You know what I mean? Like abandoning him, as to your point, saying that, bust. I mean, you got to let these guys play together and build that chemistry. That's what's going to be important. And
Absolutely.
And who do you think that we haven't seen on the Flyers yet down there in the Phantoms? Give us some names of guys that can really help this team around and what they bring to the ice.
Defensively, Wyatt Wiley. I'm very high on Wyatt. I always have been. Wyatt is great at blocking the puck. He needs to be used on penalty kills. Every time I would see the penalty kill, I would be like, Lappy, what are you doing? So defensively, Wyatt needs to be called up. I was really shocked over that they called Hogberg up over Wiley, but I was just like, okay, whatever. I don't make the decision. Forward wise, I mean, you've seen Tanner. I can't really pick Tanner. There's not. I mean, if we get Garrett Wilson back, I think Garrett Wilson could be considered. He is older. He is 32. But he's a gritty player. Real gritty. I mean, to the point where I'm like, oh, Wilson's in the penalty box. All right, let's wait those 2 minutes out.
What about Linus Sandin? A guy that kind of came touted to this organization. I haven't heard much from him.
He played quite a few games this year. I know he played a Flyers game and then he got sent back. He was injured for a good part of the season. He had a puck that came up into his eye, and he actually had to have surgery on his orbital bone right here.
We know about that in Philly, sure. Yep.
Yeah. And then he came back and he played great. I think he is a vital part. He needs to be a vital piece to it, but we ultimately don't make those decisions in the end. And I it's not that I get sad, but it's just like you get attached to this group of guys and it's a whole new team the next year.
Yeah, that's why I really stopped buying current player jerseys, because every time I buy one, it gets traded that year.
I just don't get why everyone acted like Mike Yeo not returning as head coach was news. We knew that day one after 85. I called it. I was like, he's not going to stay head coach.
Yeah.
No, and I don't know if that was the intention either, just for that hiring. I mean, I know they didn't actually call him the interim, but I mean, I guess you just see. Yeah, I mean, they have the history together from being in Minnesota, so
that
gives him
that man is probably sitting on his couch right now, drinking a 12-pack of beer and being like, "Thank God I don't have to do this job anymore."
Yeah. Oh, I'm fired. Woo! Busting out the champagne, right?
Meanwhile, he's like, "Oh, sorry, I'm supposed to be upset. Sorry, my bad. Oh, really? What could I have done better? Yeah, get the 30-pack. Meet me at the hotel. We're celebrating tonight."
We saw Isaac Ratcliffe earlier in the season.
Yeah, Ratty. I was saying some players seem to develop better in the NHL than they do the AHL, and Isaac Ratcliffe was one of them. He went into the NHL and he was just lighting it up. I was like, "Sir, where is that here?" He comes back. He probably his second or third game back from the Flyers. I think I may have tweeted out that Isaac Ratcliffe just killed a man on the ice because he literally just slammed somebody down.
That.
I was like,
I remember that.
"Oh, okay, man down." And Isaac just flat out skated off. They called the penalty. Isaac was like, "All right, well, I'm going in the box."
I mean, this comment here from Troy kind of sums up exactly what I was saying earlier. Not just the Flyers, but the fan base has no patience.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it was funny this year because where my seats are, I'm 2 rows from the 2 rows behind the goalie, so I'm like a row right behind the ice. And there was a story about me getting those seats. It ultimately did not work in my favor, so it's fine. So I watched a lot of the refs and the players, and every time there would be a penalty, if Garrett Wilson wasn't in the box, Cal O'Reilly, that man literally skated over to the ref and was like, had this look on his face like, what did my kid do now? He may be an AHL vet, but he is a fantastic player and been our captain for the last 3 seasons. It's going to be really sad to lose him, and I don't think he's coming back.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, but sometimes you don't want those guys to come back.
Yeah. It's time to move on with a different captain. Preferably, let's re-sign Garrett Wilson, make him captain.
Got the experience, got the leadership too.
He had the A.
Yeah.
He was alternate.
Yeah, that's truth. That's truth. Quick check in on the games. 4 minutes, 36 seconds left to go in the third period. Still tied at 3. The scoring shut down a little bit, and they're really playing for the gusto there. There are 4 minutes left to go in the third period. Panthers up 2-1, end of second period. Go G, and probably the Preds Avalanche about to have the opening face-off here in a matter of moments.
Yep. ESPN saying 9:45, and we're at 9:34.
Nice. Some good hockey tonight.
Meanwhile,
Bro, you got any questions for Sam in regards to the Phantoms, future of the Flyers, yada yada?
No, not really. I think you pretty much covered most of it.
Like I said, I'm really excited to get Tyson Forrester back next year. I'm excited to get Zade Wisdom back. Not sure why he looks like that.
Why did Casey DeSmith come out of his net to try and play that puck?
Ooh.
Rangers just took a 4-3 lead.
I'm a big fan. Oh, did they? Wow. I'm a big fan of Wisdom, man. I mean, it's not a surprise to me finding out that his mentor is Wayne Simmons. He plays a lot like Simmer. And his story too, coming from nothing, so poor, and to play a sport that you know, Sam, takes a lot of money to play. It's not a cheap sport to play, and to make it to this level, I love those guys. I love those guys that have heart like that.
Yeah, and I think when he signed his contract, he gave the first of it to his mom.
Nice.
To basically pay her back for everything that she's ever done for him and his brother. I'm like, can that be my child someday?
Okay, so that goal's coming back.
It's coming back?
It's coming back. Pittsburgh's challenging for goaltender interference, which there was.
I think there was a goalie interference in the Canes game last night, too.
Mm-hmm.
Kako came in, made a power move. They might not call it back, but he didn't play the puck. He actually got pushed out of the net. But I'm trying to see where the initial contact was because Kako made the power move. Yeah, I think that's coming back. I think they're going to call that goaltender interference. Because as Kako makes a power move, he makes it close to DeSmith and hits DeSmith and pushes him out of the net. He didn't actually play it, but I think that's coming back.
But I do have a few articles that I'm working on. One is a breakdown of the Phantom season. One's going to be a team report card, and one is going to be a report card on Lappy. So those will be coming out shortly.
Nice. That'll be on Flyers Nitty Gritty, right?
Yeah.
Cool. I'll try to drop that the link to that site in our comments section. Now, Bobby Brink, correct me if I'm wrong, he was purely playing college, signed his entry-level contract, and then reported directly to the Flyers. Was there any layover with the Phantoms there?
No, he went straight to the Flyers.
That's what I thought. That's why
we didn't see Noah Cates, we didn't see Bobby Brink, and we didn't see Ronnie Attard.
Good getting their college experience, getting their college education. I think they'll be better hockey players, better men for it as well. Still, you've seen them play towards the tail end of the season. What's your impressions of these crew of collegiates?
Very high on Noah Cates. I think he's wonderful. Bobby Brink, when you're that small, you need to have some speed, and that kid is fast. I'm not really a stats person. Like I don't like looking at stats. I don't think it does a player justice, especially when it comes to goalies. So I don't really look at stats. Bobby Brink is our savior.
It's all about the eye test,
I personally agree with that.
And Ronnie Attard, I think he was okay. I think that he needs a full season with the Phantoms. So I think, between the three of them, Noah's going to make roster. Bobby will be probably back and forth. He'll probably start out with the Phantoms, and Ronnie will probably be with Lehigh Valley.
Gotcha. Zamula, he probably will be a Flyer.
Big Z, yeah.
Yeah.
Big Z, if he keeps working over the summer and gains some weight, because man, he is ungodly skinny. Yeah, he should make the roster next year. I'll be very surprised if he doesn't. He has gotten consistently better. I'm hoping Wiley makes the roster. You're going to see some of these kids make the roster because they do work a lot over the summer. I know Ronnie Attard actually said he's going to train at Team USA all summer. That's where he's going to be. Cam York said that he's taking a month off or going home for a month and then coming back here in June and planting himself here. I'm not sure what Noah and Bobby are doing. I completely forgot, but yeah.
I mean, what surprised me one bit to see Bobby or Noah, be with, Team USA as well, getting that training in, getting that work in, getting beefed up and getting ready to go for training camp.
Well, Team USA, that training program, it basically turns boys into men. And it pumps out NHL players. That's all that program does.
Yeah, we've seen.
Kind of reminds me of Michigan, but
now, Anthony, don't be putting this bad juju out there. Don't be putting that out there.
Anthony, I'm going to find you in the parking lot.
Goaltender. Obviously, Carter Hart hopefully will be healthy going to next season. Deal with the MCL sprain, I think.
Dealing with something.
Yeah, deal with. We're not going to play our young franchise goaltender anymore in a lost season. Itis. No, I think he did legitimately have a sprain there. But moving forward, will it be him and Sandstrom? Is it smart to use Sandstrom as the backup for Hart?
Here's the thing. We've got Ivan Fedotov over in Russia.
Right.
No, Ryan, I do not play hockey. You don't want to see me on a pair of skates. I hold onto the wall. We've got Ivan Fedotov trying to get him out of Russia. There's going to be a lot of logistics going on there.
Sure.
We've got a problem in Lehigh Valley, and a lot of people aren't taking notice to it. We've got Kirill Ustimenko and we've got Sam Ersson. Both are injured. Sam has been injured most of the season. He would come into games and then be out the first or second period, and that would be the last time you saw him. Lappy actually shut him down for the rest of the season after his last game. He's like, I'm not putting this kid in any more danger. So they're both injured. Let's see. If they get healthy, we'll be okay. I don't know what to expect. There was no updates on their injuries. We've got Pat Nagel. Pat Nagel's an ECHL vet, has played crazy good for Lehigh Valley. He also went to the Olympics. He didn't play in any games, but he was an Olympian. So Lappy was really proud of that fact. He came into the one press conference and he's like, yeah, I got an Olympian on my team. I'm like, don't get ahead of yourself there, buddy. If Usti and Ersson do not get healthy, we've got a serious problem. If we cannot get Fedotov over here, that is another big part. If Fedotov cannot get over here and we cannot sign him, Sandstrom will be number 2. Now, who are you putting in net in Lehigh Valley? I can put my dogs. They like to chase things. We don't have any. We do have a prospect in the pipeline, but I don't think he's ready. His name is, I know his last name is Tomek. We just drafted him this last year.
Mm-hmm.
We're like this right now. We're literally waiting on Ersson and Ustimenko to become healthy.
Is there any timetable on those guys?
There was no update at the end of the season.
Eesh.
I think Ersson will be okay. I don't know about Ustimenko. Ustimenko had a torn hip labrum. He missed the entire season due to that. And then towards the, I want to say like probably February, March, he was out and it's been a core injury.
Ugh.
So last year at this point, we were in a goalie log jam, and now we're at the point of we don't have any goalies. What are we going to do?
I would do it, but I'm good. I'm not crazy enough to get between the pipes and let them shoot a piece of frozen rubber at me at a minimum of 85 miles an hour. I'm good.
I'll suit up and get in net for Lehigh. All I ask is for a few beers before puck drop. Josh, they actually do have a stand called the Brew Daddy stand. It's a brewery. I work for them. Shameless plug. Great beer. And our head brewer is constantly doing new recipes. So he actually made a 420 beer that had terpenes in it.
Oh wow.
Nice.
We
I'd
all
love to try that.
We all texted back, does it have THC? But yeah.
Yes, please.
It that little area in Lehigh, it serves well for the age of the Phantoms. the young kids, the young college kids, the ones that want to be out partying all night. It serves well.
Yeah, I bet. We actually had a connection here with Riley Cote and his company Body Check Wellness. They were an advertiser for a while, working with cannabis and hemp products for wellness, and we definitely fully support that here, or at least I do. I'll speak personally.
Yeah, I've actually tried that stuff, and it helps immensely, especially Body Check.
Yeah, we had a few guys here try it. I wanted to. I'm too broke.
Gotta get that money.
Washington just tied it.
Who scored?
I'm not sure.
But
give me a second.
Sandstrom is definitely more than ready.
More than ready, and so he might remain there out of necessity, but would he need to be in the starting role to flourish, or could he be that backup that maybe starts 20 to 25 games in a season?
I think he could be backup.
Yeah.
I don't think he can carry what Carter Hart carries.
Gotcha.
Sandy is a very conserved player. He doesn't really like interacting all that much. I think it's a lot of social anxiety, but he presents himself very well spoken man. And the last game on Saturday, I mean, lights out. He denied every single attempt the Baby Pens made. It's like, hey, you think you're getting in now? Nah, not today.
So Ovi caused a turnover. Kuznetsov scored a tying goal on a breakaway.
Kuznetsov, nice.
So we got the Rangers and the Pens and heading to overtime, and about halfway through the third period, we're tied up at 2-2 in the other Eastern Conference game between Florida and Washington. That'll be fun. I
love the Stanley Cup playoffs. I love it. Even if our team's not in it, I still love it.
I'm stressed out. My team's not in it.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. Hey, we'll be back. We'll be back. You know what else I love, Brian? I love Fan Up. I love it. It's a great fantasy site. I use it every day. They're our sponsor for the third period, and it's the best way to enjoy fantasy sports. Daily NBA contests, MLB contests, soon to be NFL contests as we work our way towards that season. Win great prizes. Sign up today. Use promo code A2D for 5,000 bonus points. It's a $50 value at fanup.app.
I hope that was the right one I used.
No, it is. I see it.
There's a couple of them in here, though.
I
don't know how
I appreciate that.
I really don't know how these guys do it. There's a lot going on back here.
Why do you think I didn't volunteer? I was like, yeah, I'll just sub in for Maddie. I'm good with that.
Anthony, to answer your question so that they don't bring it up, I'm eating my dinner because I was late making it, and salmon takes forever to cook.
Oh, yeah, the salmon. Flaw, that's great. Good health. Swoopy, what's up, man?
No, Swoopy. No. Bad Swoopy. Trade Brink. You stop that. And other players for who all do the same thing as them. Everyone must be. I can't. Nope. Not on board.
We need shooters. We need guys with speed. No,
sorry.
Yes. There's the sniper. That's the sniper.
That kid has an absolute lethal shot. It's disgusting. Like, I saw clips of him playing in the OHL this season when he was healthy, and I wanted to puke.
Yeah, I can't be behind a trading Bobby Brink. He was one of the best pure goal scorers in that draft, and he fell to the third round. Flyers are able to swoop him up. Come on, stop it.
Right.
Oh God, Josh's comment towards the bottom. I would trade my own mother before I gave up.
Yes.
Comment of the night right there.
Yes, I'm about that.
Taking a picture of that quick.
Yep.
No, you're not.
Stop. I'm not about that. I'm not about that. Making TK captain.
We've actually talked on the show, Sam, about
smoking?
Yeah, right. What do you think about this team going no captain? Just
Bring in 3
assistants.
alternates.
Yeah.
Bring in 3 alternates. Make them earn it.
Right.
Bruins saying the same thing. Yeah, and he's a stud. He led the NCAA in points. Stop it. Come on.
Yeah, Matty's out sick this week. It's his turn to get the bug. I had it last week. He has it this week, so he'll be back next week. No doubt.
I get sick, I'm coming up there.
I'm not putting that juju on you. Don't you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
I will come after both of you.
Sorry, Ted. I'm not as good looking. I'm sorry.
Oh, please stop that.
No, I'm going to agree with Lappy. Much better looking.
All right, you guys ready for OT?
Real quick.
Oh, go for it.
Ted,
what you got?
There's exceptions to that. Gagne was part of the exception. Lindros was a part of the exception. The fans didn't chase those guys away. Russell Wilson was not chased away. Yes, there's situations where players are run out of the organization because of the organization being bad. I agree with that completely. But we've chased away enough talent in Philly that we could have more championships here, but we don't because we chased away players. Players have asked to leave. That's a whole nother situation. But anyway, let's move on to OT here.
Let's do it. Shootout time. And sponsoring the shootout is Dr. Paul Vidal at Specialized Physical Therapy, LLC, with 2 locations, Burlington and Cherry Hill, New Jersey. They're our doc. Make them yours. SpecializedPhysicalTherapy.com. So, Sam, we're going to fire off some random questions. Give you, your gut instinct on these.
Don't make them too hard.
Oh, no, pretty easy, actually. Very opinionated. As a fellow writer, I know you like to express your opinions. Hot take of the playoffs. What's your hot take for these playoffs?
Canes beat Bruins in 5, and they use their baby goalie for the rest of the playoffs.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Bri, you got a hot take for these playoffs?
Yeah, give me 1 second here. I'm drafting fantasy football as well as doing this.
Oh, nice. Oh,
yeah.
I applaud you. Talking about the football season already starting up. All right, I'll go into mine. My hot take, I referenced it earlier. Maple Leafs forward Kyle Clifford. I think he should have been suspended for more than 1 game for that boarding call
Agreed.
on Ross Colton. I mean, look, I get it. Leafs gotta up the physicality if they want to finally succeed in the playoffs, especially against the big Tampa team. But there's a right way and a wrong way. And a dirty hit against a 6', 200-pound forward is the wrong way.
Yeah, I agree. And you know what? It wasn't even it wasn't a terrible hit. Like, it was bad, but like the dude clearly didn't have the puck, and he didn't have the puck for more than 5 seconds. And then you still came in and you just threw your shoulder right into him. He should have gotten more for that. I mean, it was pretty brutal to watch. It is
he's
never
digging
too
the
early.
puck. He's digging the puck out. That's probably got to be the most vulnerable position in hockey.
3-2 Washington. Oshie with the go-ahead goal here halfway through the third.
Bombs. You look at Cam York took a hit like that, didn't he, Sam? During the Phantom season.
Yeah, I forget who by. I know Cam is still injured right now. He took a hit from Ovechkin. Hairline fracture, which those are always they're worse than a fracture.
Yeah. To the guy saying it's only May. It's a dynasty league. We still got the rookie draft to do too. So we're just drafting the main rosters at the moment. And Ted, I never said it was only the fans. I said the fans are a big part of it. Yeah, bad ownership, bad GMs, of course. That's not always the case. I agree with you. I'm saying a lot of times this Philly fan base runs players out of town. What else we got going on here? Yeah, just
I do remember that, Swoopy. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I believe it was an elbow too. I think he caught an elbow to the head, if I remember that correctly. So I think Andrew was. Where was Andrew? Andrew was out of Anaheim at this point. I might have been when Andrew was in Dallas. Miss Cogs.
I mean, even just talking about dirty hits. I know we're getting to the end, but people were freaking out over something that a hit that Tom Wilson did, and they were calling for him to be penalized. Why? It was a clean hit. For once, the man doesn't need to be penalized because he didn't do it. He didn't make a dirty hit. He made a clean hit. Now, I could see if it was intentional, which half the time, Tom Wilson, in his infamy, it is. But it was a clean hit, and there's a difference. You can tell when it's intentional and it's dirty, and when it's not.
Yeah, it's very fair.
Kyle Clifford's hit on I forget who it was. Oh, it was Jersey boy Ross Colton.
Yep.
He had his back to him, completely defenseless, watching the play up ice. Clifford comes up behind, boom, hits him into the boards.
Yep.
It was pretty vicious. And it's not the first time, so I definitely think he should have gotten more for that. I'm not a big fan of Kyle Clifford for multiple reasons, but that's being one of them.
Got you there. You got your hot take, Brian.
Yeah. Kings take the series against the Oilers.
Nice. I could see that happening. We already saw a Game 1 victory based on exactly what we were talking about. So definitely came to fruition. Sam, what's your favorite playoff moment?
I mean, the bubble. Honestly, when we were in the bubble, watching that kind of playoff hockey with no fans, and all of us sitting at home, I'm sure it must have been hard on them, but it was definitely some fun hockey to watch after the world literally stopped turning.
Yeah, everybody was worried about it too, and it wound up being just as intense and just as fun. And these guys brought the fans didn't bring the atmosphere; the players brought it this time, and so I'm with you. But my favorite moment, are we talking all time?
Yeah.
It's got to be 2007, watching Timo Solani raise Stanley Cup.
Yeah. I'm sure that I knew that would be your go-to for all time for sure, and it was a great moment. The bubble too. I think it was surreal, and I think it's what it gave the people. I think you touched upon that, Sam, during a very dark, isolated time, a sense of wow, excitement, and it was interesting because it was new too, and it could be. I'm not saying that they're you're not going to continue having fans in the stands 20, 30, 50 years from now, but having like that sort of like futuristic feel to it. That's what it felt like to me. Like we were looking into the future.
I actually remember I was at home and I was watching the Flyers Islanders. It was Game 7, and it was the deciding one, obviously. And I'm screaming. I was like, just get the goddamn puck in the net. Just shoot it. And my dad opens my door and he's like, Sam, it's Philadelphia. Do you really expect them to go further? I was like,
Ooh.
Good point.
Now,
if I said something like that, my parents would have came into my room and be like, why are you yelling at the TV? Keep it down and then slam my door and walk out.
Great.
You got to understand, my dad is 57 and lifelong Philadelphia sports fan. So he has seen it, Phillies, Eagles, Sixers, Flyers, all the way through. He says he talks about the 75-76 Stanley Cup team as the good times. I'm like, you were 11 and 12, Dad. I'm sure it was a good time.
Oh, it probably was a good time. I'm the biggest sports fan in my family, so my dad was always a baseball guy. That was his thing, and then my brothers got me into hockey, and I followed my dad with baseball, and I kind of got into football a little bit on my own. Never got into basketball really after the MJ era. Just kind of fell out of it. But yeah, I get it.
Favorite playoff moment for me, I'm gonna go with Simone Gagne's game-winning goal versus the Bruins in 2010. And, obviously we all know the story. Completed a magical comeback, down 0-3 in the series, 0-3 in Game 7. But personally, for me, my mom was very sick then, and she had lymphoma and actually went, took her life. But we spent a lot of time in hospital rooms at her house watching the games. And the whole reason why I'm a Flyers fan was my stepdad introduced me to hockey. I also was dating a girl at the time that was a big Flyers fan. That might have had a little more reasons to do with it. But
so it comes back to a girl.
But my point is that she did not like that man. They separated, right? But she knew I liked the Flyers, and despite the association there, she was like, with every energy she had at that time, was rooting on the Flyers, and I feel like she willed it to happen. You know what I mean? So it's just always going to be a special time for me, or just a special moment. I easily could have went the Primo goal in 5 overtimes, but I think for that reason, I'll go with that.
I mean, that's a great moment. I forget who's. It might have been John LeClaire in an interview, or it was either him or Primo talking about the bus ride home after that game and having guys like in the back just dry heaving all the whole ride back from Pittsburgh back to Philly just because they were so dehydrated.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, it was brutal. That was a fun game to watch. I remember watching that game. All right, what else we got?
Good game. All right, last one. Series you're most looking forward to.
I mean, I was just excited for the one right now with the Canes and the Bruins.
Yeah, I was amped up for Tampa Bay and Toronto.
Yeah, both of them. Yep.
A lot of people. My friend Amanda, she's an Islanders fan, and she does a lot of stuff on TikTok. And she was like, I just hope Toronto decimates Tampa Bay.
I just
well, they did in Game 1.
Still wanted the three-peat. Although it'd be nice to have Corey Perry win one more, and what could be apparently it's a thing this year is guys is popping up saying, yeah, it's gonna be my last year. Dustin Bell retiring, Getzlaf retiring.
That's true.
Just kind of popping up out of nowhere. It's like, I'm good. I'm done.
For me, I'm kind of torn. I mean, this Rangers-Penn series, I mean, if this first game is any indication, this is going to be a humdinger, and it's basically the old guard versus the new guard. Can the young Rangers capture the torch from an aging Penn's team? But I'm also geeked up for this Flame Stars series too. Like I said, Dallas, won that second wild card, coming in hot. Flames have been consistent all season. Those are if I had to pick one, I'm gonna go with the Flame Stars.
Yeah, that's going to be a fun series too. Again, you got a lot of speed. You got some physicality from Calgary. You got a lot of physicality from Dallas. A lot of young talent on that Dallas team too. J-Rob has been just absolutely amazing. He's really
Tyler Sagan's always talented.
Tyler Sagan. Jamie Benn's leadership. That's going to be a fun series to watch.
For sure.
Absolutely. I just like it's Stanley Cup time, and it's the greatest tournament on earth, and we're here for it. We're definitely here for it. Sam, why don't you remind the people where they can find you on the social medias?
So you can follow my podcast Instagram, Pucking Flyers Podcast. You can also follow my photography page. It's Sam Wismer Photography. You can find me on Twitter at Samantha Wismer, Wismer. And you can follow the Twitter for Pucking Flyers and also my Canes podcast, Superstorm.
That is quite an
Brian,
elaborate
apparently
resume.
you suck.
It is what it is.
Don, you finally graced us with your presence. I'm dropping the link for Flyers Nitty Gritty. You said you got 3 articles coming up too, right, Sam?
Yeah, eventually, whenever I feel like writing them.
Yeah.
They're
I
coming.
hear
They're
you.
coming.
I do a fantasy baseball column. It's like a torture. As much as we love it,
Well,
it's like, oh my God.
4 articles because I have that goaltending article, but I was supposed to write them Sunday, and then Sunday I went from one podcast to another, to another, to another. I recorded my Canes podcast. By 6:30, I'm like, I'm done. I'm done talking. I'm done thinking. Like, I'm over hockey. I don't want to talk about it.
Don't worry, Roscoe. We'll have her back.
Oh yeah, absolutely, Sam. You've been great. Thank you for everything tonight. Welcome back anytime. You and Jamie. I'd love to have both of you on. Have a nice like round table. Maybe like before that. Yeah. Message
us on Twitter. That man, Jamie, does not sleep. I don't know if you've noticed that. The man, he just told me, I'm going to bed. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Okay, Jamie.
Little bit. Yeah, I noticed that a little bit. That's for certain. Dropping website link on Facebook, YouTube,
David,
and now Twitter.
You're an Arizona fan. I'm sorry.
He's an everything fan. He roots for everybody.
All right, Bri. Let's wrap up this show, Bri. Hey, why don't you tell the people real quick how they could support us with great apparel and paraphernalia?
Paraphernalia. Head on over to PhillyDrinkers.com, Philly Drinkers LLC, all kinds of great merch over there. We always got all kinds of great novelty t-shirts. Go out and get your I fucking hate this place t-shirt. We got Thrust the Process. We got specific show shirts. You love the Hockey Happy Hour. Go get a Hockey Happy Hour t-shirt, hats, beanies, mugs, all kinds of stuff. That's Philly Drinkers LLC, PhillyDrinkers.com. Alex will take good care of you.
Commonly called memorabilia. I tried to weasel a little reference in there. That's what I do when I'm allowed to host shows. It's been fun, guys. For Brian Daly, Sam Wismer from Flyers Nitty Gritty, I'm Rob Povia. Join us next week. Brand new edition, Hockey Happy Hour. Pretty sure we'll be talking Stanley Cup playoffs.
Pretty sure.
Absolutely. We'll catch you then. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Thanks for all the comments. We'll check you next time.
Appreciate you guys.